What is up, guys? It is Kyle here with Gnarly Knives. So as you can probably tell by the title of the video, it's going to be a little bit of a rant video. Not an angry rant, just more of a, come on. So before we get into that, I do just want to address the elephant in the car, if you will. I know this is not the usual filming location, if you will. Typically it's either my garage, my backyard, or my bathroom. Actually, I bet a lot of you didn't know that. Maybe some of you could tell, but yeah, whenever I do the sharpening videos, it actually is in my bathroom, my basement bathroom. It has a little sill or a ledge, if you will, that just runs the length of one side, and it's just a perfect little sharpening area for me. I don't know, it's where I like doing it. Got the window right there, I can look right out. Actually, quick funny story. So you guys probably know my buddy Dave. I've mentioned actually quite a few times now in some of the videos. He also has a YouTube channel. It's a Sandbox Explorer. That's with 2 X's, so it's XXPLORER. But funny story with him and that bathroom. Some time ago, I don't remember exactly when. Probably about 10-ish years ago, 8 to 10 years ago. Don't quite remember. But we were over my house in the basement. There was probably 5 of us chilling, and I would say, let's just say we were all 21. I don't quite remember. Like I said, I mean, if it was 8 years ago, yeah, I was 21. I'm 29 now. I really don't remember. At least one of us was 21 because, we wouldn't have gotten booze otherwise. But let's just say for the sake of the video, we were all 21. So we were all chilling, drinking and stuff, and then Dave ended up, he's like, oh, gonna go use the bathroom. And then a long time went by, quite a long time, longer than usual if, someone's sick or, throwing up or, they just gotta take a mean dump or something. Like a long time. I remember I looked over at one of the guys we were hanging out with, and I was just like, hey, he's been gone. I hope he's all right. He might have died in there or something. And then about the time I said that, I see the door just like creaks open just a little bit, and Dave just like pokes his head out, and he's like, dude. I'm like, oh, well, what happened? Opens up the door, there's an inch of water on the floor. I'm like, oh my god, because we were having trouble with that toilet anyway at the time, so it wasn't his fault. I felt so bad, but he felt really bad because the toilet just kept flowing. So run in, shut the water off to the toilet, and we ended up using towels. We had some towels that were in there, and we were just wringing them out back into the toilet because we were able to unclog it, and then everything was fine. Turn the water back on. But no, it was the funniest thing because then I remember I had to explain to my old man, just like, oh yeah, Dave, the toilet overflowed on Dave. Oh, Dad, the toilet overflowed on Dave, and he's like, oh Jesus, whatever, but that actually ended up being the catalyst. We my old man and I think, probably a week or two after that, ended up just like getting a whole new toilet kit for the inside, the whole flushing mechanism and all that. But no, I just bring that up, just something funny. Also, throw my buddy out there again. But if you guys are into video game type stuff, I'd absolutely recommend my buddy Dave because he is very funny and he does really good jobs with his videos and editing, and he's really funny. He's very animated, and if you are into video games, especially the Nintendo Switch, that's like his big thing that he does mainly with the channel. But I've watched a lot of his videos, and a lot of them just seem very like the stuff with the Switch seemed to very much correlate with just other video games in general, because from what I understand, they just have taken regular video games that you would use on your PS4s and your Xbox 360, stuff like that, and then they just threw them on the Switch, which is kind of cool. So if anybody you're into that stuff, definitely recommend. Even if you're not, it's just really funny to watch. So what I do want to talk about a little bit are knife experts, like quote unquote. Now, and this is not saying that people don't know what they're talking about. It's just more, a lot of people, I feel like, fall into the there's one way of doing it and that's it, and if you're not doing it that way, it's wrong. If you get a sharp knife, it's despite that. I bring that up because it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, but especially the last few days, and then today I was like, I just want to make a video about it, just kind of rant a bit, see what you guys think. Because on Facebook I follow and whatever a bunch of different knife pages, of course, like knife brands, like there's a couple Spyderco and Benchmade pages, Mora, But then there are a lot of just in general, just, knife collector pages, EDC pages, and knife sharpening pages. And that's really what more I want to talk about. And it's cool because, you can get a lot of good information. There's lots of people sharing ideas, what I like to use, what I don't like, this and that. And it's good, I think, for a lot of people who are starting out, and maybe aren't really sure what route to go. And I think there are a lot of people who are very helpful. I mean, I try sometimes to, give a little input. I'm kind of more of, like, I'll go on the pages sometimes to kind of see what's up. I don't always comment or throw up pictures. Once in a while I do. But, most of the time when I do, it's more for people who are just inquiring about information regarding sharpening or people who are having trouble. And what I've noticed is, and I guess this could apply to any other thing, not just knives. I mean, could be video games, could be, anything, I mean, whatever, working on cars, but there are always going to be those kinds of people. And what I've noticed, the two big things I've really noticed is the first one being that, people say, well, you're not doing this right. But just saying that, you have to do it this one way. And I don't think that's quite right. I mean, there's, that expression, there's more than one way to skin a cat, if you will. And, I believe there are as many ways of sharpening as there are knives, and I mean, my personal technique that I use, honestly, is combined of probably like 4 or 5 other people's techniques. I just tried out a bunch of different things and see what would work. But I feel like the way, people, they're trying to get these newcomers, if you will, like, I think they just get very overwhelmed. They'll say, well, with this knife, it has to be this specific angle, or this style of knife or whatever, this particular blade, this steel should be at that angle or this angle. And, I'll be honest, I have no idea what the hell angles I'm sharpening at. I don't have an angle finder. I just, I've said in other videos, excuse me, I'll start with what the factory bevel is and then go from there. Most of the time, I mean, I do generally like thinner angles, like thinner bevels, if you will. So I'll start with the factory bevel and then just kind of bring it into where I like it. But I think what a lot of people are doing is, even if they have the right intention, they're more or less just saying, you're wrong, you're dumb, that's not the way to do it. And it's funny because sometimes you will just see straight arguments breaking out, and it'll be with, these knife experts, and they'll be like, no, well, you're doing that wrong, or you're doing that wrong. And it's like, this original post is by someone just trying to get information, and it turns into, these couple of guys or ladies just fighting with each other, just calling them both morons. But they, as long as you're getting those sharp edges, if you're, if you are obtaining what it is you are seeking with your sharpening, then I think that's all that really matters. So that's just kind of like where I look at it. And I try to, when I tell people, oh, you could try this and stuff like that, I always try to do that, just see if it works. Or I'll give a few different things that you can try, because not everything's going to work for one person. And that kind of flows into the next part of this, where it's, when someone's new or getting into, just sharpening, just anything. I mean, you could use the cars, for example. If someone's, not saying that they want to go out and be a mechanic, but if they want to do some work on their own cars, I wouldn't tell them to go out and just buy a bunch of snap-on tools. And are they great? Yeah, I mean, I have snap-on tools, when I used to work on cars. They're, excuse me, they're great, they're fantastic tools. But, like, do you really need them? And to be honest, going back, if I knew I wasn't going to, I mean, I still work on my vehicles, but it's not in a professional sense. And honestly, if I go back, I probably wouldn't even bother with the snap-on tools. I just stick with, well, I guess now Craftsman, Sears and everything. But a lot of companies now have that lifetime guarantee, whatever. But, getting beside the point. But a lot of people are, trying to get out there that, well, you need, these top-of-the-line Japanese waterstones, or, you need the ceramic, or you need the diamond. And honestly, that could be a whole other video. And what's better, ceramic or natural or diamond for sharpening? And they all have their own purposes, and I don't think any one is better than the other. It's just, they're better at certain things, but that doesn't mean that there is a best. It's kind of like, what is the best knife? I don't think it really exists, just because they're all made for different purposes. I mean, you can have multiples of similar knives, that have similar purposes, but at that point, I feel like it's just which one's your favorite, But basically, I'm trying to more get into the point that, you'll have someone that's new getting into sharpening, and they're being told that they need to, go out and spend $200-300 on all these stones, and I just don't agree with that. Not that they're not nice to have. I mean, don't get me wrong. I really would love one day to have a beautiful set, drop several $100s on, all these great Japanese whetstones, and I will. Probably going to be more spaced out over time. But I'm very into sharpening. I love sharpening. I've been doing it for a few years now. So it's something for me I think is worth it, as for other people who are very into the skill, if you will. But I think another thing too is there are just a lot of misconceptions are put out there. I think a lot of people, when they say things like, some steels are harder to sharpen than others, I think it scares people. I remember when I first started sharpening, I remember when I got my first CPM 3V knife, which was my Cold Steel Master Hunter, which is a great knife, and I absolutely love everything about it. But when it came time that I needed to sharpen it, I remember I was terrified, because I was thinking either I'm going to ruin the knife, or I will never get it sharp. And at the time when I had first sharpened 3V on that knife, I had only been sharpening for maybe a month, two maybe, and it was funny because that's just something I always heard. The 3V is a hard steel to sharpen. It's a hard steel to sharpen. It's a hard steel to sharpen. And it's funny looking back now. 3V is a dream. I think 3V is a great steel to sharpen, but I don't think it's not that one knife steel is harder than other. It just takes longer. I mean, I could sharpen 154 cm, and probably half the time it would take me to sharpen M4 or S110V, or, especially ZDP 189. You start getting into these crazy hard steels, and they're very wear resistant, but it's not harder. And by hard, I'm talking about the HRCs, the hardness of the steel, not how hard it is to sharpen that steel, which I'm sure most of you got, but if anybody's new to this particular, I don't know, skill, genre, whatever, but it just takes longer. I'm not, if I'm sharpening, say, M4, it takes longer than, say, D2 or 154 cm, but it's not harder to sharpen it. It just takes a lot longer. So I think a lot of it is just patience. I think if you're a patient person, I think doing sharpening is a very good skill. It's a very good skill to have when learning the skill of sharpening. I mean, once you get good at it and know what you're doing, and you're very comfortable with it, then you can kind of zoom through things. And one thing I've noticed too is it's really if I'm changing bevels and stuff. I mean, if I sharpened my my Contago the other day, which is the M4 steel, and I don't think I spent more than 6 or 7 minutes sharpening it, and it was because I already had the bevel that I wanted established. So I was really just kind of just sharpening it. I wasn't doing a full reprofile, but it's just, I feel like a lot of people, when, especially like these pages, and like I said, I mean, you can apply this to anything, but I feel like a lot of these people get it like stuck in their head that like, well, I'm doing this wrong, and then either if what they're being told that they should do is not working, then they'll want to give up. And especially if they went out and bought all these stones, now they're just paperweights, and I don't know, I just don't think that's necessarily right. I mean, there are a lot of ways you can go about doing anything, really. And I just hope that, any people that are watching this that are new to sharpening or thinking about getting into sharpening, that, you just check out a bunch of different channels or people, not just YouTube, just anywhere, or just find some articles. I mean, like I said, I mean, my technique, or whatever you want to call it, is combined of probably 4 or 5 different sharpeners, like I said. I mean, when I first started, like really started freehand, I would watch a lot of Dutch bushcraft knife videos, and I love those guys. Those are a great channel to check out because they do really hilarious videos. But I really started watching their videos a lot, and then I would watch some Dave Canterbury's channel, how he would sharpen. He sharpens a little bit different. Then I would watch Perfection. There was actually another funny channel. It's actually a funny little play on words, Perfection. But same thing though. He has his own style, and of course, there are other people too. A lot of them just type in knife sharpening and then just find different videos. But it's just there are multiple ways that you can go about doing it. And you don't necessarily need these high-end high-end equipment or stones or whatever to achieve these results. Of course, it makes it nicer, it makes it easier in some cases, but it doesn't mean that that's what you need to do. I mean, use the example of M4. When I sharpened it the other day, I was using that Smith's Tri-Hone sharpener, that I did the review on a few months ago now. And, the M4 is, by Benchmade, they harden it to like the 62 to 64 range. So, I mean, that's pretty hard for most knives. The ZDP 189, I've sharpened quite a few times using those stones. And that's rated at 64 HRC. And, I mean, yeah, the 1,000 grit stone on it takes a little longer to get, that nice edge, if you will. If I'm just sticking with 1,000 grit versus if I'm using my king stone, which is, definitely it costs, almost double what the Smith stone costs, but I'm getting the same results. It's still just as sharp. Maybe it's a little bit quicker, but it can still be done. I mean, the one thing I will say is, with some of the, I don't necessarily say cheap stones, but, some of the more inexpensive stones is, some of them, they are hardened differently. There are some soft stones, and there are junk stones out there. I actually will, I think, do a video soon, because I remember probably about a year ago, I bought a bunch of those, and I will say cheap, these cheap Chinese or whatever stones, and I think it was just a waste of money. I only use one of them now, and that's as a base for some of my smaller stones, and there is junk out there, but there's also inexpensive stuff out there that works fine, especially if you're just getting into it. And if you're just getting into sharpening, I don't know if I would recommend jumping right to M4 or 3V or whatever. And the chances are too, if you're getting into sharpening, you're probably, you might be new into knives, like collecting them, or maybe you've been collecting for a while and now you're like, well, I'm sick of paying other people to do it or having dull knives, now I want to do it. But in either case, you probably, if you're just starting or if you have been collecting, you probably already have a nice range of steels. I mean, one of the main knives I first started sharpening was my Ontario Rat 1, which is AUS8, which is pretty soft steel. It's pretty easy to sharpen. It's pretty quick to sharpen. And, I mean, I've sharpened the shit out of that knife. I mean, it can't, there's no way. I'm trying to in my head real quick, like, oh, I don't want to try to swear on the channel, but I've sharpened the shit out of that knife. It is a fraction. It is not the same knife anymore. It's still sharp as hell, and it's still a functional knife. It just looks very different. But also, too, it was just anytime I got a new stone or I felt like sharpening, I would just sharpen it. There would be some days I would sharpen that knife 2-3 times, just one after the other. Just use it for some stuff, dull it, sharpen it. But also was at the time, I think I paid like $25 for it, so I was like, whatever. And I still have it. It's a very sentimental knife for me. That knife's probably worth $5 now, but I love it. I'll never get rid of it. But I think you can't let yourself get overwhelmed with a lot of the information from all different people, and I don't think necessarily, like I said, that these people are trying, to make, new sharpeners, beginners, to feel like they're dumb or, but I just think you get wrapped up and, it's like, yeah, now I'm really good at it, so, my methods are working for me, so they must work for everyone. And I do get that to an extent, but I think part of it too, though, is just realizing that with any skill, not just knives or sharpening, but you're always going to get better the more you do it. I mean, like I said, I mean, I've been freehand sharpening for 3 years now, a little over 3 years, and I mean, I think I'm pretty damn good at it. I'm not, one of these like insane like Japanese master sharpeners. I mean, one day I would love to be. I think that would be great. I always thought it'd be cool. I'd love to be like a celebrity sharpener. How sick would that be? Imagine like a famous sharpener. Like how cool would that be? I just have all these like famous people have me sharpen their knives. Just like follow Gordon Ramsay around. I love that guy. I love that guy. I would love to sharpen his knives. I mean, granted, I've seen he has videos on sharpening. So he knows how to sharpen. But how cool would that be? You know what I mean? I just travel the country and the world. Actually, I don't know. I don't really like traveling much. But it would still be cool, though. But it's not the point, I'm going to try, we're already over 20 minutes, 21 minutes, so, we'll wrap this up in a minute or so, just, so we're not going on too long. I do have to go soon anyway. I'm actually still at work. I just really wanted to do this video, but, it's just, take your time and have patience, and, don't get wrapped up and overwhelmed by the things other people are saying. But at the same time, to the other people, just, give some people a break. Even, it's not even just the newcomers that I find that, are having, I don't know, issues or whatever. But it's people that have been sharpening a while, and I find it's just, instead of just having a discussion, I mean, because, like I said, I sharpen a few different ways, but, the main thing is, I love doing the back and forth technique. Some people like just doing the single strokes. And for me, I use kind of a combination of both, especially if I'm, like, reprofiling an edge, or if I'm taking out a chip, or, a deep roll, or, in the case of some of my knives, old ones that I've ruined that I've had to fix, or, like, my Enduro with the ZDP that I snapped the tip off. You get a good method going. But when it comes to, like, if I want to do, like, a nice mirror polish, or just when I'm coming to the end of, each grit, I like to do some of the single strokes, get the bevel off, and then just even out that edge, how it looks. Because doing that back and forth motion, excuse me, if you look at the edge, it'll be sharp and everything will be fully functional. But you'll see kind of little, like, waves, just the scratch pattern from the stones will be little waves. So that's when I like doing the single strokes, kind of just even and neaten that all up, and then I'll just go from there. Actually, it's funny, a lot of times, even when I use, like, that Kingstone, it's a 1,000, 6,000, right? On the 6,000 side, depending on what I'm doing, I feel like at least half the time, I just do the single strokes, If it's just, I just want to just bring that polish up a bit, or if I really want to do, like, a true, like, beautiful, like, you can, like, like looking in a mirror, like, you check your teeth, look up your nose, like, beautiful mirror polish, I'll start out doing, the back and forth push and pull strokes, but then I'll finish, or, when I hit my 10,000 grit, honestly, most of the time on that, I just do the single strokes, but it's, I don't know, I'm getting off into rambling from ranting. But that's pretty much all I wanted to say there. And, I'm sure we'll probably do more videos like this. I mean, this is part of that, that new-ish series, that Let's Talk. So this, kind of that Let's Talk / rant, and then Knife Experts. I'm sure we'll do more of these. It's just stuff I feel like ranting about. But we'll see. I hope you guys have a good day or night or whenever you're watching this. I know it's getting late in the evening now. It's 5-something anyway. But guys, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, share. Just let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts or opinions, or if you guys, you guys use Facebook or any other forums. You guys probably have noticed the same. Just curious what you guys think, or what you guys' experiences are with that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just remember, keep carving, stay sharp. Look up my buddy's channel, please, if you want to. Also comment, subscribe, and like if you want to. And you can check us out on Instagram, Gnarly Knives. But yeah, you guys have a good rest of your whatever it is when you're watching this. And yeah, keep carving, stay sharp. Peace.